Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Sondik and Mengel. It's getting cold outside. I feel like it's dark like all the time. Really increasing the seasonal depression. But no fear, we're back. NFL, we're about halfway. NBA, we have enough time to overreact and maybe underreact to stuff. So let's start with football. Grant, crazy season in the NFL so far.
It's been a really competitive season. There's a lot of teams bunched up in the middle right now. AFC, you've got a division in the AFC West where all teams got 5 or more wins. The AFC North was looking really strong until this week. We saw a few hiccups there. Just really crowded right now, so we're going to dive right into it. And we're going to go through a few of these teams vying for wild card spots, and we're going to say if we're buying or selling. We'll start in the AFC, and speaking of the AFC North, I want to hear what you think about the Steelers. Are you buying or selling after that tie with Detroit?
I don't think they were going to blow them out consistently, so my idea of the Steelers has been like ingrained. I'm going to sell, and it's not that they have talent on the roster, but everyone's hurt always. There's way too many injuries, like Juju's out for the year. TJ Watt, I feel like he's always on the injury report one way or another, and he's the most important player on that team. Big Ben, he had COVID this week. He has perpetual injuries. And the only consistency this year has been Najee Harris. Drafting running back in the first round, you get criticized that you're not supposed to do that, but he's been everything they wanted, and I think more. He gives that offense some form. He gives them some life. And I feel like, but teams on Najee Harris, I think teams are going to adapt and stack the box against them because they know Big Ben at this age, and especially Mason Rudolph, they can't beat them in the passing game. It's not great. Deontay Johnson, good player. Claypool, when he's there, good player. Pat Freiermuth, besides that fumble yesterday, that cost them the game. And I just feel like that division's also too loaded. Like you just mentioned, Baltimore, Cincy, and Cleveland have all been they've been inconsistent, but they're not. None of those teams are bad at all. I can see any of those teams possibly winning the division. 3 of them making the playoffs. So I'm gonna sell on the Steelers. Plus, the schedule they have coming up is brutal. Look at it now. Chargers, Bengals, Ravens, Vikings, Titans, Chiefs, Browns. And the tying with the Lions at home, I think it was icing on the cake. I'm selling the Steelers. I think it's too much to overcome.
Yeah, I don't believe in that team. They can sneak into the playoffs, but they're not getting anywhere. Nothing this year.
No. So what about you? Speaking on the AFC.
I'll take the Colts, Indy, with a big win over Jacksonville. I know it doesn't sound like much, but to get back to 500, 5-5 right now, I'm going to buy this Colts team. Carson Wentz is playing some of the best football since that almost MVP season he had. Jonathan Taylor is just a man in the backfield. He's probably going to have the rushing crown this year with Derrick Henry taking an early exit. And then they really have a 3-headed monster with those two, and then Pittman on the outside, who's been having a phenomenal season for them. I really like this Colts team. I think they're rounding into form at the right time. The only thing I'm a little nervous about is the upcoming schedule. They've got the Bills, the Bucks, and the Cardinals, just 3 big games that they're going to have to win probably 2 of those if they want to get into this really crowded wild card. So I am in on Indy. I really like what they're building. Darius Leonard controlling the defense, Wentz commanding the offense. They're starting to hit their stride. I'm in on them.
I think it's all about, because they started off 0-3 in the first 2 games. Seattle with Russell Wilson, week 1, healthy at home. The Rams at home. Those are just brutal games. So it's tough to gauge how good they were back then. But I think you're right. I watched the game yesterday. They had the punt. Their special teams was good yesterday too. And while the division's out of reach, they lost both to Tennessee, and they're 3 games back. And Tennessee refuses to lose. I think if Carson Wentz limits the mistakes and they just focus on Jonathan Taylor, because guy's an animal, like you said, rushing, gonna win the rushing crown by de facto. So yeah, I think the Colts are as dangerous as any team. Both sides of the ball are pretty solid.
Another team that the Colts have to play coming up, the New England Patriots. That's going to be a pivotal game. So what do you think about those Patriots, though? Are you buying or selling?
Earlier in the year, I was so bent on, the Patriots suck. They're nothing without Brady. And then the last 4 games happened, and they've won 4 in a row. 3 of the games really haven't been that close. And yesterday, they were, it was kind of close to a pick 'em. They were barely favored at home against the Browns yesterday. They absolutely throttled them. It wasn't really close at all. And Mac Jones, despite being a dirty player, which that's a dirty play. You could have your opinion on that, but I think that was a dirty play. Jokes aside, he's been great. He does exactly what that Patriots offense has been great at for decades. He's been limiting the mistakes. He's making throws that I don't think not too many people thought he would be asked to make. And then the defense, Belichick defenses are always great. So I'm not too surprised that the defense is stepping up. And yeah, they're scary. I mean, they're getting hot at a great time. And they're also, I mean, they're a half game behind Buffalo. And I really don't think Buffalo's like that much better than the Patriots. I really don't. Like, the Bills killed the Jets yesterday. The Patriots also killed the Jets. So I'm not ruling out the division. Like, the Bills are not, I don't think they're going to run away with it. It's going to come down to their head-to-head matchups, obviously. And I feel like if the Patriots can protect home field and win that one and take care of the games they're supposed to take care of, I think they're going to make the playoffs. And I think when they get in the playoffs, even if they don't win the division, they're going to be a tough out. I mean, no one wants to face Bill in January, like, regardless of where it is and who his quarterback is.
Belichick's a wizard. You never count them out. And they're back again. Bye. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. No one likes to hear that. But, all right, we're going to stick with the AFC. Last team. What about the Cincinnati Bengals? What do we make of them?
Coming into the season, I had pretty low expectations for the Bengals. Burrow coming off the injury, heard the news about Jamar Chase with the drops in camp and all of that. But they've been one of the best passing duos in the entire league this year. Burrow has been on fire. The interceptions have been ramping up a bit recently, but he's a gunslinger. You're going to get that with him. He's going to have games where he throws for 350 yards. He's going to have a few games where he has 2 interceptions, 3 interceptions. It might cost you a game. It's kind of like the Jameis effect. It's what you live and die with your guy.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, Burrow's way more talented than Jameis, and he will be a great quarterback in this league for a long time. I'm buying this Bengals team. Once again, the schedule is by no means easy coming up, but when they've got that passing attack going with Burrow to Chase, and then you got Boyd, you got T. Higgins, and then you got Mixon out of the backfield, this offense can go and put up points on just about anyone in the league, and the defense it's been good enough so far to keep them around 500, and I'm buying this Bengals team. I think they've got a real shot to get into the playoffs.
I think the bye came at the perfect time because the Cleveland embarrassed them, and that would have been like, oh, like the Bengals are legit. And I think you're right. I think you live and die with Burrow. I mean, he's your franchise guy, and the goods definitely outweigh the bads. Like, when games where the bads are bunched up, it doesn't seem like that, but he's as dynamic with Chase as any quarterback in the league. And I think the division's tough, but like I think they're a little better than Cleveland and Pittsburgh. I think Baltimore has a slight edge on all those teams. They looked like absolute garbage on Thursday, but like that's the NFL being weird. Good teams lose to bad teams, and it's just happening more than I can remember, honestly.
Yeah, it's been happening consistently throughout the year. A bunch of head scratchers. We'll flip sides to the NFC now, where I'll give you the Minnesota Vikings, 4-5. What are you doing with them?
I'm gonna buy. I think they're one of the best 4-5 teams I've seen. All 5 of their losses are by 1 possession or less, and I know that doesn't mean much, but it means that they're not getting obliterated on either side of the ball. Like, they're in games. I mean, Kirk Cousins I don't think is awesome, but the weapons he have around him with the 2-headed monster, I mean, Dalvin Cook, top 3 back in the league, Justin Jefferson continuing what he did last year, and I'm going to buy the Vikings. I think they'll make the playoffs. I think the teams around them in the standing just aren't as good. I think they're better than the Saints. I think they're better than the Falcons, and I think Kirk Cousins, similar to Wentz, limit the mistakes and closing out close games, like not blowing leads. They blew that 2-touchdown lead to Baltimore. That was a winnable game. I mean, they missed a field goal against Cincinnati week 1. So I'm going to buy the Vikings. I mean, they play the Packers twice. That's kind of the season, I think, because if you can somehow beat the Packers, if you beat the Packers at home, that's a big confidence boost. I think they play next week. You beat the Packers at home, you get to 500, you get a big divisional win against one of the best teams in the league. I think that's huge. And they got the Rams at the end of the season. That's also a tough one. So I think if they can take care of business against the teams they're supposed to and hang competitive, beat the Packers once, I think they're a playoff team. I'm going to buy. I'm
in on the Vikings too. They're, like you said, every game has been close with them. They could easily have 6 or 7 wins right now.
Like, yeah. I mean, there's no it's the Vikings kind of became the Falcons in terms of like finding terrible, heartbreaking ways to lose. But I feel like that team is too good to continue to like eventually those games are going to go their way, and I feel like the last 8 games of the season, the 17th game thing messes me up always, but the last 8 games of the season are going to be good for them. I think they'll turn it around. So we'll stick in the NFC. What about those Eagles? Dilly, Philly.
I'm going to sell on Philly. I'm out. Listen, Sirianni's come in and he's done an all right job, I guess. I mean, they're getting results. I didn't really think it was a great hire in the first place, but 4-6, they're alive. Not really in the division. The Cowboys are pulling away there, but this NFC, just like the AFC, crowded. but their 4 wins are against the Broncos, Lions, Panthers, and Falcons. None of those really wow me. There's no statement win there, and I just don't think they have the weapons to get the job done yet. Hurts has been playing some good football, really good football if you're a fantasy guy. I mean, running for touchdowns, passing for a few here and there, but it's mostly been his legs that have been hurting teams. They started to find their running game a little bit, but still can't trust their defense. And I don't see them continuing to win games, especially as the schedule gets a little harder and they have to play, they go to these divisional games, they're going to have to play the Cowboys. The Giants they're always tough. Just divisional games aren't easy to win. I don't see them going 4-2 or 5-1 in this division, and they're going to have to lose some games here and there. I'm selling on the Eagles.
I think that division, it's not as bad as Dallas kind of like uplifts the average of the division because last year, like with Dak being hurt, Dallas wasn't good. But I feel like Washington and the Giants and the Eagles, like
they're all just kind of level.
They're all pretty level. I think we could put the Washington looked great yesterday. The Giants have had shades of beating good teams. Like they beat the Saints they beat the Raiders at home last week. So I think the Eagles are. I think they need a little bit more. Like you said, I just don't. NFC is too tough, and that division they're too even with those 3 teams.
I agree. And sticking with another bird in the NFC, the Falcons. You buying or selling?
I'm selling. I think it's like a headline around the league that like, wow, the Falcons they're 4-5. But then yesterday happened, and they had no signs of life, and Dallas just destroyed them. And not having Calvin Ridley is gonna catch up to them. Like I hope he figures it out and like improves on his mental health. That's big. People that are like mad about that, they don't have any clue how hard it is to play in the league. So I feel like that absence is gonna hurt them. It's already hurting them. And Matt Ryan, credit to him, man. I mean, he's getting older, but he keeps them in games. But all 4 of their wins, Jets, Giants, Dolphins, and Saints, but like with I was gonna say Marcus, wrong sport. Trevor Siemian. None of those are impressive, honestly, at all. Like the Saints, if they would have beat him with Jameis, maybe, but like they didn't. So I just don't think so. I feel like, and that division's also pretty decent. I mean, the Bucs, they've been bad lately. That's not gonna continue. Panthers with Cam will be interesting, and then the Saints they're gonna be competitive also. So I'm selling on the Falcons. I really don't buy it at all.
Just too inconsistent for me. You get a big win and then you lose by 40 the next week. There's a head scratcher. Not enough pieces right now.
No, not at all. So we're gonna conclude right here with the last team, the New Orleans Saints.
I'm out on the Saints, and that's mainly just because the lack of Jameis in their life right now. I'm a big Jameis Winston guy. I've gone on record on the show before and said that I think this team's a good playoff team if he's there. The defense is tough. Kamara's running all over the place. But now you take it down to Trevor Siemian, Northwestern alum. I love watching him in college, but he's just not that guy. He's not going to take you to the promised land. And sure, they can make the playoffs, but their ceiling is so low. And if they end up being a 6 or a 7 seed, then they're going to have to go to Tampa or to Green Bay. They already beat Tampa, yeah, but they seem to do that every year in the regular season. So if they go to the playoffs and have to see Tom Brady for a 3rd time, I don't think they get the result they want there. They have to go to a snowy Lambeau. I don't think they get the result they want there. They're just without their quarterback, the ceiling's so low, so I'm selling on them.
I think I really want to see, I know it's like we don't know what to make of him really. Throw Taysom Hill out there, man. I don't think he's going to be worse than Trevor Siemian. I think it gives the offense a different dimension, and like Sean Payton's been big on him. They gave him a ton of money. I just don't get the Trevor Siemian thing.
Siemian's credit though, he hasn't been playing poorly at all. He just went into Tennessee and they were a 2-point conversion away from overtime in that game.
Yeah, so I'm throwing a lot of shade on him, but I feel like long term, I really don't think he's the answer.
No.
I think if Taysom Hill was there, I'm not saying they're for sure a playoff team, but I feel like they've had success before in the past with him, and he's won games with them when they didn't have Breeze out there. So I think having him there could change that, but yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough without Jameis. They look good with him. I mean, they were kind of inconsistent, but I think the goods were slightly outweighing the bads there. So I don't know. That stinks.
So now we'll flip it over to NBA real quickly for just a few reactions or overreactions here. NBA season, it's underway. We're 15 games in. It's the perfect time to make snap judgments, and a few months from now we'll be completely wrong. So
freezing cold takes,
First one, the Bucks will not be top 4 in the East this year. Fair or overreaction?
I think it's an overreaction. Chris Middleton's only played 6 games. Brooke Lopez has been in and out with injuries. And I feel like the teams like, I don't think 4 teams are going to finish ahead of them. I'm thinking about, like, from a number standpoint. Like, the Nets will probably finish ahead of them. I think your Bulls are going to finish ahead of them. I mean, they look hungry, and they're selfless, and they look like they're having fun out there. I think the Heat, they could have the edge on them, but the Heat have looked, and they got killed in Denver, and then they kill Utah, both on the road. So I think the Bucks will get a top 4 seed. I think everyone needs to get healthy. Championship hangover is real. I mean, they came off such a awesome, like, fairy tale season, and I think once Middleton gets healthy and Lopez gets healthy, they'll be able to gel more. But shout out Grayson Allen. I mean, I'm talking about dirty players, but the guy can shoot.
Been stepping up, yeah.
Spraying on the Celtics on Friday, like, it's giving me nightmares.
Been playing real well.
Grayson Allen's great.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's not an overreaction. The East is really good, and it's crowded up top right now. Yeah, you've got your Wizards and your Cavs and your teams like that who are pushing up. You got your Bulls who still think they're going to be good, but we don't know if they're going to hit a point and fall off a little bit. Milwaukee they're in the 10 spot right now, or right out of they're below the play-in line right there. And there's just a lot of good teams in front of them. Like you said, you had Brooklyn. I think the Heat can stay in front of them all season long, especially if the Bucks continue to have these injury problems. Philly's just been playing well, and Embiid's been out. They started to slip a little bit there. Bulls, there's a lot of teams. It's a really crowded conference, and the championship hangover is for real.
I just feel like the championship hangover for them is. I think the floor is the 4 seed. I just think Giannis is too good, man. I feel like, I mean, he's the MVP. He was the Finals MVP. He's an MVP, and the team still. I mean, he's not shooting threes. Guy's a cheat code. I think on the back of him, I don't know. I really can't see them falling.
It's just
top
tough.
4,
It's tough when you play that far into the summer to come back.
That's true.
So that's part of the injuries, part of everything.
Right.
So we'll go into our second one. The Warriors are the NBA title favorite, and I'm going to say that's an overreaction. Yeah, they've been playing great. Yeah, they don't have Clay yet. Yeah, Wiseman hasn't played. But there's still a team in Brooklyn who's trying to figure things out. I think the Nets should be the title favorite from day one until the last day, until they're eliminated. I really do. Kevin Durant scoring 30 points a game, shooting almost 60% from the field at an unreal clip. James Harden's been struggling. He's not getting the foul calls as much anymore, but he's going to start to figure it out. And you've got the guy sitting on the couch at home in his living room watching all the sports talk shows. You know he's just itching to get out there if they've somehow changed the mandate or whatever, or if he just ends up getting the vaccine. Kyrie, if he just joins his team, it adds a whole nother dimension. They're the clear favorites in my mind.
I'm going to say it's not an overreaction. And the only reason why I'm saying this, Steph Curry's been amazing, but we know he's amazing. They have, seemingly random guys, not too random anymore, that just show up every night and ball out. Like Jordan Poole, I've seen a couple 30-burgers from him. Gary Payton II is not only is he great on defense like his pops, he can fly, he can yam the ball in. I mean, Draymond is the floor general that he's always been. And I think teams forget people forget how valuable that guy Klay Thompson is, man. And Steph already gets swarmed with Klay there. They're gonna create open looks for themselves, and that chemistry, I don't think it's gone anywhere. In the West, I feel like they stack up with all the teams. I mean, the Lakers, they're gonna end up going far in the playoffs. LeBron LeBron not being there is a big thing, and then Westbrook and
they'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out. I mean, I don't know. I can't discount them and Utah and Phoenix, but I don't know, with the Warriors being fully healthy and Steph balling out of control and random guys stepping up. I mean, they got Bielitsa out there dishing dimes out. I think they got a great shot. I think the Nets, they're supposed to win it. I mean, this might be their last year that they get a chance. I mean, I think Harden and Kyrie, their contract's up after this year. At least there's an option. So I'm going with Golden State, man.
Yeah, I just want to see Klay back at 100% before I can make that declaration. And like I said, when you got the 3-headed monster, that's currently a 2-headed monster, but I'm always going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So we'll go with one more. NBA draft, we saw Cade Cunningham go first, Jalen Green go second overall. We saw him face off for the first time, and Jalen Green, he looked pretty upset that he wasn't the first overall pick. So is this an overreaction? Jalen Green should have been the first pick in the draft over Cade Cunningham.
I don't think it's an overreaction. I think, Cade, I mean, he didn't start until a couple games in because he was hurt. And the first couple games he was really poo. There's no sugarcoating it. But if we're going to go on terms of just rookie play, I mean, Mobley and Scotty Barnes have been better than both those guys. And not to discredit Jalen Green because he's so fun to watch and he can score at all 3 levels, but they're garbage points, man. This team doesn't win games. And, I mean, that's why, like, the Mobley thing is so crazy because the Cavs are 9-5. Like, those buckets are meaningful. Like, Scotty Barnes, the Raptors are hovering around 500 after, like, no one really knew how good they'd be this year. So I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. I don't know what to make of Cade Cunningham or Jalen Green yet, but I don't think Jalen Green significantly, like, maybe he outplayed him in that game, and even Cade had a big shot at the end, but I don't know. I've never seen anyone that angry to not play in Detroit. That's kind of crazy.
I don't think it's an overreaction. I think it's fair. He's been, yes, they're garbage time buckets, but you see that he has that it factor. He's dunking on guys. He's hitting step back crossover threes. And Cade Cunningham's kind of come in and just been a little clunky so far. He's been out of rhythm, and yeah, we can attribute that to injury and stuff, and he's going to figure it out. But Jalen Green so far, in my opinion, has looked like the superior player of the two. And I'm not just talking this year, I'm talking long-term in general. I think he's the complete package, and he can really do it. He can score 3 dimensions. He can pass it. He can rebound. And where Cade, I still got to see him prove that to me. We saw it in college, but that's college. He's got to do it against these grown men now. So I'm going to say it's not an overreaction.
I just think it's important to note that, like, Jalen Green played pro basketball last year. And
that's a big reason why, yeah.
And that's why, yeah, I mean, the clunks with Cade just aren't really there with Jalen Green because while Cade was playing, they played Big 12 competition, which is solid, but it's not pro guys that get paid to do this thing. I mean, now athletes get paid, so it's rich and whatever. But I don't know. I feel like it's so early and guys, like, make the leap. But I feel like long term, yeah, Jalen Green might be the better player. It's just with those teams being so bad, I just don't know. It gets lost in the box score.
Yeah, they'll be picking first and second again next year, probably.
I feel so too.
But unfortunately, we're out of time for today. We'll be back again soon with some more content for you guys.
And as always, folks, let's ride.